All right, everyone, how you doing? You can hope all is well with you, and thank you for joining me once again to the lockdown. Number 6, Phil just told me, so I'm super psyched about number 6. Thank you very much. And today we're going to talk about the minor pentatonic scale. Woo! I know we've probably been through this a million times, and you think you know it, and I always think I know it, and then I realize I don't know it. So what we want to do today is run through some options that we can have to expand how we look at the minor pentatonic scale. So first, hey everyone, how's everybody going? How you, Thomas? Hey, Thomas Moore. We got, oh man, all you guys are coming in. Thank you so much, Chris Covington, Tom Minette, of course, Richard Henry, Northern Ireland. Wow. Thanks, everyone. Scotland, Graham, Jack Hoban, what's going on? Kevin Kieran. Hey, everybody, I really appreciate y'all coming back here. I just said y'all. What does that mean? I don't speak like that. All right, so we're going to take a look at the minor pentatonic scale. Super exciting. So in the links below, you have 5 fingerings for the minor pentatonic scale. What I'm going to do first is just play a little bit. And take a listen to what we can do with the minor pentatonic scale. And it's not just the blues, right? So we're going to check out a little bit of a different way to play over this. Noodling there, but there we go. There's some ideas. That was all A minor pentatonic. All right, so let's talk about the easiest way to go through this. It's first I have 2 PDFs that are included right here, and this is a jam I just loaded up. I recorded in Logic about an hour ago because it'd be kind of fun to do something different. So the first one we have is our 5 fingers of the minor pentatonic scale. I got doing so much teaching, people say, oh, yeah, I know those. And then you find out you don't really know them. So let's talk about how I think you should work out your 5 fingerings of the minor pentatonic scale. First thing you need to do is just memorize them. All right, so the first thing, what is a pentatonic scale? So it's a 5-note scale, hence the name, right? So we're going to play an A minor. So A minor pentatonic is basically an A minor scale without the half steps. So we've removed those troublesome notes of the half steps. So instead of A minor being A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, we have A, taking out the B, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. So all we're doing is taking out the B and the F. It's the tritone. So that's the note that can kind of get us, those 2 notes, I don't think can get us into trouble, but those are the ones that can be a little more problematic. So if we're playing like an F chord, an A minor chord, and we play an F note, it's really sour. The flat 6 is not a great note on its own, but when I get to the next jam, I'll show you how it can be. We get into the chord tone soloing idea. Now the B, I love that sound. That's a 9, but it's not in the pentatonic scale. So the first thing we want to do is memorize our 5 fingerings, which you probably all know. Now let's just talk a little bit about the theoretical or what's going on there. Is A minor pentatonic, we all know fingering number 1, I'm assuming. I called it fingering number 1 for lack of a better name, but it's the one that starts on the root. So we have A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. Now fingering number 2 begins where this one left off. They overlap, and if you look at the other PDF I've given you, you have one that's the whole fingerboard written out. Okay, so making sure we got that. Okay, cool. All right, so and then where this one leaves off, if you look at this little cool shape, kind of gives this C6 chord. Kind of sweet. Anyway, that's aside. This is going to be A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. So this fingering just starts on the next note of the scale, which would be the C. It's the flatted third. C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D. Now let's take a little note on the fingering. When I go these higher strings, I never really do 2 and 4. Just because it's too hard. So I use 1 and 3. When you watch anybody play, whether it's Pat Metheny or Clapton, there's a lot of 1-3 going on. There's not a lot of 1-2-4 going on, almost never. Because it's just, the pinky just is a weaker finger. Work on your pinky, get it as strong as you can get it. But in practical application, if I'm going, I'm not going to do, I can kind of do it, but not very well. All right, so the next fingering, if you look, where this one left off, began on the C. The next note of the scale is D. So we're going to play the same sequence of notes. D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E. This one's a little trickier because of that little position change. Okay, so starting on the D, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E. Where that one leaves off, the next one begins on the E, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G. And that would also be your open strings. Right, so you have E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, C, D, E, G. So, and then our final fingering, where you can kind of go down here, it starts on the flatted 7, which would be the G. So you have G. I'm going to use my first finger here, first and third. So I have G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A. Okay, so what you want to do is memorize those 5 fingerings. Really, really, really important, just because they're going to, well, you need to know them. Because guitar playing works really great in patterns at first. I try not to think about patterns, but I would be lying to you if I don't think anybody is lying if they say they don't think about patterns sometimes on the guitar. Because if you're ripping and you want to do something quickly, a lot of times you're going to think about the position of the shape, right? So like that kind of thing. I just know that fingering really well, so I can kind of rip through it without having to worry about hopefully hitting a wrong note. I hit wrong notes all the time, but hopefully it's just a mistake. It's not that I didn't know what I wanted to do, I just didn't make it, right? Just kind of messed it up. Okay, so A minor pentatonic. So how do we practice this? Well, first thing is with your metronome. It's super exciting, but it's the only way to do it. So I'm going to go up fingering and down the other one. I didn't plan ahead and have a metronome, so I'm just gonna assume I do. So 2, 3, 4, 8th notes. Right? Very exciting. Triplets. And 16ths. 1 and 2. Right, so you get this fingering down that you don't have to think about it at all. You're just playing the stuff. You're working through everything, okay? So the next thing is I'm going to take the same jam track. So let's say you've put in the work. All right, so how to practice the metronome. You want to put on your metronome at a tempo, let's say like 60 beats per minute. Let me call one. All right, yeah, I'd have to go into my routing and turn on the metronome. So I'm not going to do that because there's the stuff behind the curtain you guys don't see, which is okay, I have to route a metronome. Don't worry about it. So I will go through, say if I'm going to 60 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3. Say that's 60. And I get my triple or 16ths. Do all the fingerings. Right? I'm going to go through all those fingerings. I feel like I've got that, okay? I'm kind of cutting that with the metronome in time. Then you start to ratchet it up a little bit. You go up 1 or 2 beats or 3 beats, and you want to keep on pushing it. And then take a note of what you've done so you can keep track of all this. All right? So you've gotten into it and you know what to do. Okay, so one thing that I never thought about when I was younger practicing is playing the scale in context over a track. So I'm going to use, basically, it's the same chord progression to a very famous song by Led Zeppelin. So. Now my triplets, 3, 16th notes, right? Right, so I can go through all those positions over the track, so I hear what it sounds like in context, right? Okay, so the next thing I might want to do is go from quarter notes to triplets and start to mess these things around a bit. So I'm going to do 16th notes to triplets. Sorry. Messed it up. Start to hear them over the same background. All right, so the next thing is you can take this thing and you can go through this helix way. I'm going to go up one fingering, change position, and go down the next. And this stuff's a little dry, but it's super important. So I'm going to go up one, change, change position, down, up, change position, back down, up. Right? Up and down each one and go through each position each time. So, let's hear that over the track. That's cool. So I can change position while going through the track, and then I hear what it sounds like, and suddenly you're like, oh, that's kind of like music. All right, so let's do that same thing, and I'm going to use the other track, which is my lockdown track in A minor. So it's a different feel altogether. So check it out. Triplets. So those kind of moves, I lock those in. Right? So, I'm feeling that triplet, right? I'm sitting into it and practicing the scale. What was really important, sometimes when you practice scales, you just feel like, oh, what's the point of this? I'm just playing a bunch of... We know the practicing scales are important, but sometimes putting them in some sort of context is extremely important. And I love this because I'm thinking about how a triplet will lock into that groove, right? So. Swingy eighths. Demanding, right? What's important about doing that and practicing over something you're going to play over is that you start to get the rhythmic subdivisions nailed, right? So if I'm going to try to solo over this tune, I'm going to run through it. I'm going to practice over it, to be able to play over it. That's super important, right? You want to... a stupid story was, I remember I took some lessons with Wayne Krantz, who's amazing. And I was having problems playing over this tune with my band at the time. And I was like, I'm having a hard time playing this. And he goes, do you practice over the song every day? I was like, no, which is just the most obvious thing in the world. So if I want to jam over this track, I should practice playing over the track, but also I want to practice my rhythmic subdivision and my scale. So I'm covering a bunch of things. I'm working on my technique. I'm working on knowing how the rhythmic subdivisions work in this particular groove, which is really important. And then I'm just getting my stuff together. Okay, so we have the two ways. You want to just memorize the scales, the 5 fingerings. Just you can't be afraid of the work. You just got to do the work because nobody's going to do it for you. So that's what you have to do. A minor pentatonic, start off with that. A minor pentatonic is the same fingering as E minor pentatonic, just in a different part of that circle. So if you memorize the 5 fingerings, you're really good to go. All right, so the next thing, this is the super important one, is I can do each of the scales, A minor pentatonic scale, up and down one string. So it's A, C, D, E, and G. Here's my E, G, A, C, D, E, G. Same as you play them. A, C, and D. Back down. D, A, C, G, A. Sorry, E, B, C, A, G, E. C, D, E, G, etc. I won't bore you about playing it, but check that out on one string. Play music with it. Hendrixy kind of thing, which is really hip. Okay, maybe I hit the right note. Right? So I can really have a lot of fun with that, and it just sounds cool, doesn't it? You know? So remember, right now, we're practicing, we're not performing. That's really super important, because we can always be really judgmental about what it is we play. You're playing like, oh, that was terrible. So it's just me in my room, and I'm not on a stage. And if you're on a stage and you hit a clam, like I do all the time, who cares? You know, if it's a mistake because you were going for something and you missed something, everybody makes mistakes, man, everybody. So what you see on Instagram, you know, the guy just sitting there shredding through everything, how many takes did he take to do that, you know? Some people can kill it on one, but even the best players just make mistakes. They're not like terrible mistakes like, oh my, what was that? It was just like, you know, you hit an open string or you just hit a quick wrong note. Who cares? Because you're in the moment. You're creating something live. So when you're practicing doing this, you're practicing. You're not. So try not to judge yourself, which is very difficult to do, but keep that in mind when you're doing this. This track would go on. I just put this in Logic. It just goes like this the whole time. I just took a drum loop. I didn't do anything exciting. So there's not much you can do. It's not a real playing situation. Okay. So. Go. And if you notice, none of this sounds like blues licks, because the pentatonic scale is just a scale. It's not the blues. It is the scale of choice on the blues. But one thing that was really cool, at some point I started to realize that thinking about pentatonic scales does not mean you're thinking about a blues scale. Okay? Really important. I chose to not do a blues today because I wanted you to experiment with the sound of A minor pentatonic. And I chose two distinctly different feels. There's a straight feel, that Stairway to Heaven kind of jam, you know, just A minor. And then I gave a bit more fusion-y, swingy feel, just so you can feel, do the same thing over two different sounds. Okay, now, here's the secret. Shh, don't tell anyone. Here's the thing that really, really got it for me. We're 4-note groupings on 2 adjacent string sets. And this is like what Eric Johnson's doing, and Joe Bonamassa, and first guy I really kind of heard do it, well, would be Eric Johnson to the level of just absolutely astounding and great, is also John McLaughlin and Coltrane. But he wouldn't be doing it in a guitar way, but these 4-note groupings. So what I'm getting at here is I'm going to go to my high string. Remember, we have A, C, D, E, and G as our scale. So the first thing we're going to do is play C, D, E, and G. So we're taking 4 notes of the 5 that we can grab. So I have C, D, E, and G. My next position, as I go up, is going to be the next note. It's just the top 4 notes. So if you look at the PDF, if you look at the top 2 strings in 4-note groupings, it's the top 4 notes of each position. So here we have D, E, G, A. Then we have move up, we have E, G, A, and C. Then we have G, A, C, and D. Then we have A, C, D, E, C, D, E, G, D, E, G, A. Then we have A, G, C, E, G, A, and C. Okay, so right, we have those. Then we do them on each adjacent string set. Now, a little hint or a little thing. Between the G and the B string, it's kind of a pain in the butt because of the tuning difference. So they're always a little uncomfortable between those 2 strings. Right? It's a little tricky on those two strings. And I do have a PDF of this. I will drop it into the Dropbox. I just realized I didn't do that. Some of these concepts are in two specific courses of mine from TrueFire. One is my lead guitar survival guide, which is covers a lot of this, almost exactly this very lessons, the first thing. And the other one that I see somebody mentioned really nicely is my beginning blues rock guitar. That's another one that's going to fall really heavily into what we're going to talk about today and over the next few weeks, and how we can expand with this stuff. Okay, so I go to the next position. I should have made a mistake. Did you hear it like jump right out? That's the cool thing. You start getting your ears in tune to the pentatonic scale. I just hit a bad note, and it's like, bop, it just kind of jumped out that B flat was terrible. So note-wise, D, E, G, A, E, G, A, C, as I go through the scale, right? Okay, so what's nice about this is there's a repeated pattern. So this is really, really important in terms of you wanting to get this faster. The ones that's going to kick your butt is going to be the G and the B string, just because the position change is just not that easy to play. But there's the cool guitar trick of anything on the top two strings. If you bring it down an octave, it's the same on the next two strings and these two strings. So, and it also works on other two adjacent strings except for the G and the B. So check it out. So if we have this simple one, which is going to be, G, A, C, and D. If I go down an octave, G, A, C, D, G, A, C, D. And it's always going to fall in the same position of these 5 pentatonic scales. So watch. It's the same exact fingerings. So when you start to kind of get up some speed, you're going to be playing stuff that you've already played before, except on the G and the B string. So this leads to like really cool idea, like you get some chops going on fairly quickly because it's just the same repeated idea. All right, so let me just play a little bit, blah, blah, blah. Let's hear how this sounds over the Stairway Jam, because we're having a straight feel. That kind of stuff. You hear those Eric Johnson kind of things. So now, the speed thing is kind of fun because you get some speed of that. What I also like is I just start to break the fingerboard up into little nuggets. So I'm just going to move around, thinking these 4-note groupings are what I feel like has brought me to this point. So I'm just using these 4-note groupings, in my mind, these ideas that help connect like little kind of pathways or roadways, or whatever we want to call it. See what I mean? It just kind of starts to connect. Now, this won't happen to you by tomorrow. But there's one thing I can guarantee. I can guarantee you this. I don't know how I will actually guarantee it, but I promise you that if you practice this, it will be really it will change the way you see the fingerboard. What happened to me, I felt like pentatonic scales every time I was playing them. I thought pentatonic scales had to be blues scales, and then I realized that no, not at all. And pentatonic scales, and we're going to continue with this, is a bit more fusiony or a bit more jazzy, or whatever you want to call it, not necessarily blues. So now you start to have some options as to, even if you're playing a blues, how you envision what a pentatonic scale is and what it's supposed to sound like. It's supposed to sound like whatever you want it to sound like. Okay, so I'm going to take the same idea. I'm going to use it on the fusiony thing, right? Same 4-note groupings. So you hear differences. So I'm just kind of going for it, just moving around as much as I can. I'm not really playing a solo. I'm practicing once again. So I'm trying to play musically. Super important too. I'm always trying to play some music or phrase musically or play something that sounds musical. But I was just practicing there. I was practicing a specific thing. I was practicing 4-note groupings and moving around the fingerboard. I wasn't constructing a solo. I wasn't trying to create, the perfect guitar solo, and I wasn't judging anything I was doing other than if I hit a bad note. All I was thinking of was this same concept, moving through the sets of strings, as I've talked about, and then I'm thinking about, does it sound good? I had like rhythmic ideas, right? Repeat an idea. So it's a rhythmic motif. Pentatonic. How about this reverse? So I did some bends and stuff. We can talk about that. As we talked about last week, I can choose any of those notes to bend to and from. But all I'm thinking about as my practice thing is don't play anything in straight minor pentatonic, and a lot of cool things start to come out, right? It doesn't sound, it sounds like something else to me. So the stuff to practice, once again, is the 5 fingerings of the minor pentatonic scale, like I've just given you. And you can practice them up and down in sort of a helix method. And I do this all the time. This is a way I practice. If I'm practicing any kind of scale, I'll practice it through the positions. I'm going to change positions as I go up and down. That's a really important thing to do. And then the next thing is 1 string at a time. The pentatonic scale, 1 string at a time, is super huge. Super huge. And the stuff we're going to get more to a little further down the line is pentatonic chords and just ways to break up these kind of patterns and things, all of which it's in some of my courses, the lead guitar survival guide. There's a lot going on there. That's the blues edition, and then the blues rock guitar soloing. The blues rock guitar soloing, or beginning blues rock soloing, has a lot of patterns and things in it that we'll talk about that are really important. But right now, your focus should be just on the 5 fingers of the pentatonic scale. In context, play them over the 2 tracks I've supplied for you. And then do 1 string at a time. Say the notes as you play them, because I never really thought that this helped me learn notes, like A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, C, D, A, G. Like, that didn't ever work for me, because you're just starting to kind of go through a fingering, and if you don't understand how the whole steps and half steps work in guitar, it just never really made a lot of sense for me. But what made a lot of sense for me and really changed every scale and every arpeggio I practice horizontally as well as vertically. So I'm going to play each note of the scale. This is A minor pentatonic, and you see those notes as I play them. E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. Next thing you could do is say the scale degree, which is kind of cool. So A, C, is E is the 5th, flat 7, root, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. So you start to hear like a track, flat 7. Yeah, to me that wants to pull up. So how about 5 is really comfortable. 5 flat, I like 7, flat 7. You always want to lean, or go down in the 5th. How about the 4? Nice. Pulls down to the flat 3rd. Root, 5, flat 7. And the more you start to get them in your ear, the more you're comfortable with them. Totally comfortable with flat 7. 4th is nice there. 5, flat 3. That flat 7 is going to pull you up or down. Fun with it. Get that shower vibrato. Right? Just have fun. I'm just playing the notes, but I'm thinking about just A minor pentatonic, and now I'm going to work in my vibrato in A minor pentatonic on 1 string. And man, right? That's a great sound. My track rang up. So into it. Here we go. One more time. Big vibrato. Slow vibrato. Single notes. Right? Just thinking A minor pentatonic. So that's my framework, is just the scale. Vibrato, you can start to bend, you can see what notes are bending to what notes. And to me, nothing sounds like a blues lick. There's no Albert King, Stevie Ray Vaughan sort of stuff in it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm purposely trying to avoid that so I can hear the pentatonic scale as this pure other thing, as sort of what we can see as another sound. Okay, so let me answer some questions if you have, and thanks for everyone. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for once again being here. Super appreciate it. Means a whole lot to me. And I got a tip jar out that maybe my friend Phil Mingan, who has been really my moderator, who's been doing great. A tip jar, which I appreciate everyone who has helped with that. And as I had said, this came in the mail today, so I'm going to start to be able to reinvest in the channel that you guys have been so generous with so we can work on this together, build this community, upgrade the audio. Audio is good. Upgrade the video, get some more videos out that are not based on, not a live feed. So thank you so much for that. Like I said, I'm turning it back in, and it's been really cool, and your support has been awesome. If you could subscribe, that means a lot. All these YouTube algorithms are huge. I mean, that makes a difference. I had a really nice conversation with Rick Beato, who's a super nice guy, and he was real forthcoming about a lot of stuff. So it really makes a big difference to me and the community if you subscribe. And then if you ring that bell and you like the videos, the more likes you get. I've got 62 likes. Thank you so much. All these things fall into this algorithm, and it's just cool because super fun. Check this out, guys. So next week, this Saturday coming up at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we have David Grissom, my good friend David Grissom. A week from Saturday, my friend Mark Lettieri will be on the show. So that's super cool. Got Mark Lettieri. The following week is my friend Joey Landreth. So Joey Landreth will be on the show. So I'm super psyched about that. And then the following week we have Scott Sherrard, and then we have Robin Ford's coming on. Sonny Landreth, I think, said he's going to come on. And man, lots of good people. Josh Smith, I got to give Kirk Fletcher a call. So the more likes and the views and subscriptions, like it just gets everything bigger, and we can continue to do this in a cool way. So thank you so much, everyone. And if you like any of my courses, which some of these things can be found in my courses, you can get them on my link in my thing here, jeffmcErlain.com, and 25% off Live 25. Okay. So yes, now I'm going to go back to the questions, if there are any. Okay. Say hi to everyone. Yes, of course. Hey, an addiction. Janos Forgas. Yeah, hopefully it's an addiction. I'm really glad everybody's here. 138 people watching now. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. This has been great. And also, it's nice to not think about all this stuff, especially in New York City. You guys listen to the news from New York City. It's heartbreaking. And, people we know. It's terrible. Okay. How do I get that chewy tone? That's Roman's Legion. That is, once again, is my UA Apollo. It's a Buxom Betty plugin. It sounds great. I just grabbed one. People are like, what do you think? I just go for the one that feels like it sounds the most like, one of my amps. I'll do one for you guys. I have an aux over there. And I'll plug one. I'll do an episode with the aux. This is just kind of easier. I can just adjust everything super quickly, though the aux is very easy. And my fantastic Two Rocks and Friends was my, okay. So I am not using S-Gear. That is Kenneth Messier. No. I'm not using S-Gear, which is spectacularly good. And I highly recommend S-Gear. Just UA, I've got friends with those guys, and they've been really generous. Okay. So, just one thing, like Phil, our wonderful moderator, he lost 2 people in one day to the coronavirus. 2 in one day. So our heart goes out to Phil and his family, which is terrible. So, okay, here we go. So I don't use the pinky on the 5th position. Okay, S.C. Nesbitt and Thomas Minette. Let's talk about that once again with the fingerings. Whatever works for you. This is the thing, like I went to music school and, so grateful I did. And I think it was more when I grew up in a period in time where it was, great for guitar. Satriani and Vi were new, and Eric Johnson, and I'm showing my age, but man, the 80s and 90s were, guitar was like, Eric Johnson had a freaking top 40 hit. I mean, Cliffs of Dover was top 40. Same with Joe Satriani with like Surfing with the Alien. You'd hear that on the radio for the guys who are in my age group of 30. You'd hear that. And so all the magazines were killer and they were great. But we had these ideas in our head that like every finger must get a fret, at least I did. So if I'm playing a minor scale or major scale, I would still do that. But I built into my thought in my head that I had to go like this because it would make sense. Like, just going, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 2, 4. Terrible. Like, I was like, God, I can't really play like this. And then I just kind of came to this conclusion one day, like, well, why am I bothering? Look, Eddie doesn't use those fingerings. Paul, thinking Paul McCartney for a second. You know, he was on Howard Stern yesterday morning. 1 and 3 is so much better. When I watched Pat Metheny, he you would think would be, I mean, you know, not you would think he's spectacular, but I would have thought he would be all kind of fingery, you know, using the 2 and 4. Nope, 1 and 3. Primarily 1 and 3, just working that, and it's great. So yeah, you don't, unless you're doing something stupid, you know, like I'm going to use 1 and 4, you know, crazy like that, or, you know, something stretchy like that. Whatever works is fine. I mean, look at Eddie, the way he holds his pick is just the craziest thing in the world, you know? So, all right. You always cheat and slide up to the... Okay, so S.C. Nesbitt, you know, don't cheat for now, you know. There's some very guitaristic stuff, yes, of course. You don't see Clapton doing a lot of 4-1s. We're always going to kind of go down to that, you know, that first kind of connecty fingering we always learned. Right? That thing right there, but that's like a 4-note grouping, just like we talked about. It's 5 notes, but we slide up. So that's one way, but really you can come up with some great ideas. And the 4-note groupings stopped me from cheating by changing positions. There's no cheating, but you start to find things that are really amazing in each position that make it more fun, right? So you're starting to think about other ways to make a position more fun to play it. Okay. Angus, Sweet Pence. Thanks, man. I learned these all from Angus Clark. All from Angus Clark. All right. You guys got the PDFs, no metronome app on my phone. Hey, I do have a metronome on my phone, but I can't get it. I'd have to hold it to the microphone. New Zealand. Hey, what's up, New Zealand? Yeah, the backing track is in the link there. It's the Dropbox link. That's the 2 backing tracks are in there along as well with the PDFs, right? All right. I'm getting messages on my phone too, unrelated to this. Grandpa Bob, you're welcome. Thank you for watching. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for my time. Thank you for doing it. Okay, David Skinner, always a half note away. In Yahoo 333. You know, yes, you were talking about what's a half note away. If you hit a wrong note, you're always kind of half note away from a good note. So, you know, these are things that you can turn mistakes into good things. You know, playing A minor pentatonic, I could slide into notes, right? That one, and then that's what something minor there. So flat 5 to natural 5. Slide at each note. You have to be careful. The only one you have to be a little careful with if you slide each note, which could be kind of fun sounding, is the natural 3 into the 4, because that's the one that doesn't work. But you're going into the root from natural 7. How about that? Flat 7 to natural 7 to root, flat 5 to 5. 3. Right this one. Now musical sense. It's a little more bluesy. That's for a later episode. Okay, cool. So the mistakes can turn into something you can practice. So like I said, a half note away, half step away from each note, except the natural 3. You got to be careful with that one. Really, okay. So the 4-note groupings last week. Yeah, the 4-note groupings, I'm glad, Skydog. Yeah, man. 4-note groupings are huge for me. Really, really, really huge, too. Tommy Jammin, looking and sounding great. Thanks, man. Tommy from Truefire, the man who makes everything sound so good. One of the Great dude. Michael Cope. Yeah, man, thanks. Yep. This stuff is useful. We'll talk about the economy picking in a second. I'm glad this is enlightening. Okay, can you talk about targeting certain notes and which notes you would tend to target or sit on or bend to? Okay, that's Kelly Schatzer. Yes, absolutely. Great question. I'm in A minor, right? So the track, so some of you guys might know, there's more going on in the track. I went through like a D major chord, added an F sharp. It's an A Dorian track, and this is where we're going to start to extend to next week and the following weeks, and how we can build upon what we're doing today. But A minor, A, C, E, those are going to be my best notes. So A minor pentatonic, okay, this is super cool. A minor pentatonic is A, C, D, E, and G. So that's root, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7. So we have an A minor triad, A, C, and E. Sorry, yeah, that would be A, C, and there's the E. And then we have a D in there, and we have the G. So the A, C, and E is A minor, and A, C, E, G is A minor 7. So let's just resolve on some of those. I'm going to resolve an A minor triad. Albert King, right? Now if I put in that flat 7, E, flat 3, C, A, root. Now how about that D? Okay, so now the only note that isn't great is the D. Okay. You want to pull it up maybe there, but I'm going to usually resolve to the root 3-5 or the flat 7. The flat 7 being, of the chord tones, the weakest in quotations, but it's not weak at all. It's the one that seems to pull the most to the root or the 5, almost to the 5, to the root more often. But the more you sit on it, the more you get used to that sound, the more comfortable you are on sitting on a flat 7. Okay, so just on that quick thing, A minor pentatonic is A, C, D, E, and G, and A minor 11 chord is A, C, D, E, and G, or A, C, G, D. So an A minor pentatonic is an A minor 11 arpeggio. One way to look at it, but inside each A minor pentatonic scale, triad inversions. Hey, what do you know? We'll get to that at some point too. Right? Going through my inversions too. So the chord tones, A, C, E, are the best ones to start off with. I just target them. Use your ears too, you know. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Yeah, Clapton, is that known as the helix method? I call it that. You know, I'm just, for any lack of a better name, you know, like a helix, you know, DNA thing goes, circles around, so I'm thinking that. As opposed to the position changing method. Helix sounds cool. It sounds like I've really got something amazingly brilliant. It's the helix method. Okay, so Thomas, they don't say what they mean by the helix method. That's what I'm saying. Going up one fingering, changing, back up one, change position, back up, back down, up, right. Oops. Right, that kind of thing. So I'm just going up and down, seeing it like visually. I see it as a helix. Okay. You would highly recommend the Take 5 diminished. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that I had a lot of fun with that course. It's really, I think it's a cool course. Thank you. I spent a lot of time on that one, how you use the diminished scale, but that could be another lesson. Okay. Do you think about superimposing pentatonic scales over other chords, A minor? This is from David Skinner. Yes, all the time. And we will get into that in a later episode of this. I don't want to throw too much at you at once, but we can start to superimpose different ideas. So like this is a Dorian gem. Let's give you an idea. And I can start to play other pentatonic scales to get Dorian sounds. You know? So I'm using 3 different minor pentatonic scales to get different sounds. And that's only super helpful if you really know your pentatonic scales. So I'm not trying to, when you come back next time for $9.99, I'll show you that. Not it's just learn this first, but yes, absolutely. Hold on. Different pentatonic, like a pentatonic scale is just a 5-note scale, so it's pretty cool. And if you look at it, there's 5 notes. Those 5 notes are contained in other scales too. In one minor scale, there's 3 pentatonic scales, or one major scale. But we'll get to that. But learn the fingerings, start to kind of think about them a little more sort of angularly, like I was doing there. I've been trying to get down to Austin to see David Grissom. Well, it's going to be a while. Unfortunately, I was just talking to David earlier. We're texting with him, and he says he's kind of going crazy. It's the first time he hasn't gigged in at least this long since he's been 18 years old. So it's tough. David and I have played together here in Brooklyn. I was really fortunate to curate at a place called National Sawdust, and I brought David in to play, and I joined him on stage, and we've played together at the Umbria Blues Festival in Italy, which was just a great time. Okay. How do I feel about single coil buzz? I don't think you're using a gate, but yeah. Look, this is not bad. You know why? Because I have a silent back plate on the back. If I were using my original, living in Brooklyn, it's the old ancient wiring. So sometimes if my neighbor turns on, as the fridge goes on or something, suddenly it goes, like it kicks in. So no way around it. There's no way around it. It's annoying, but what would be the next step from the 4-note groupings would be 6-note ones. If you want to do that, if you can stretch that, sure. I kind of stopped at 4 because they seem to move well, and I see them as little nuggets. 6 notes would be a pentatonic, then you're getting to the big stretches, and I already hurt my hands when I was younger doing stupid stuff like that. Okay. You're welcome for the backing tracks. Okay, what's a good course to work on to more into these ideas? There's a new one coming out at TrueFire called, what do we call it? Blues Rock Explorer, which is just because we're thinking about how we can use these different ideas to expand outwards. I'm starting bridging more out into these kind of ideas. At TrueFire is more or less doing a lot of blues stuff, and we've had a lot of nice discussions about digging into this stuff a bit more. You can look also on my YouTube page here. There's a few videos. There's one on using a minor pentatonic scale for a Dorian scale, so we can check that out. That's already I will talk about that on a live one, but it's already here. D Dorian minor pentatonic. If you look on my YouTube channel, there's one that goes into depth on that too. Are you using any formula for position 2 in C major? That's from GLH 1956. Is there any formula, Jeff, for position 2 IC major? C major. Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm understanding now. A minor pentatonic formula is root flat 2, 4, 5, flat 7. For major pentatonic, it's root 2, 3, 5, and 6. Root 2, 3, 5, and 6. You're leaving out the 3, sorry, you're leaving out the 4, and you're leaving out the 7, so it's also going to take out the half steps. Same notes. In pentatonic, you're leaving out the 2, and you're leaving out the 6. So same notes. So major pentatonic is root 2, 3, 5, and 6. Okay, I think that answers that. Okay, playing more major pentatonic has helped me get these patterns. Yeah, look, this is just A minor pentatonic, which I didn't do. And I do want to do a whole lesson on major pentatonic, even though it's the same scale. It's just a different way. I found it to be a little more difficult to work with because I always find major to be a little bit more difficult to work with when I, probably come from a blues and rock background. Okay. Do you think of the major pentatonic scale as the same thing as minor but different root? Or did you learn major on its own? Another great question by Kelly. Think about how to answer this. Okay. I think of it as the same notes. I think of it as the same key. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the fingerings, I learned them as minor pentatonic, so in my head, I'm always thinking pentatonic is minor. But I know that A minor pentatonic and C major pentatonic share the same key and the same notes. So by practicing the things that I've been doing and showing you, I don't think about the scale anymore. No mystical powers. I've just practiced the heck out of it. Doing what we're doing. Practice it. So when I play an A minor pentatonic, C major, if I make a mistake, it's because I messed up. It's not because I didn't know what I was trying to do, right? I mess up all the time because I just mess up. But it's not because I didn't know. I just messed up. I didn't know what it was. So what I am thinking about is what my resolutions are going to be. And that's just something we're going to talk about as we go further with the pentatonic stuff. And to your previous question, I'm targeting A, C, and E on most of these things. So I'm thinking C major, the jam's going to be C, E, and G. So to me, the notes are all the same. It's the chord that I'm playing over is the key. Chord tone soloing, True Fire. It's 2 of them, playing the changes and chord tone soloing. I could go into depth on that as well. But it's a great question. So the answer is, I'm thinking about the key. I know that's a lot of work, but that's ultimately what I am thinking about. Thank you for that question. Good one. Hermano Bonifazi. I want to thank Hermano, of course, because he is the man behind the Umbria Blues Festival, and he is also the man who's behind helping this sound and look so good with his super help from across the Atlantic. The buzz from the single coils breathing is lovely. At times. Yes, sometimes it's great. Other times I want to kill myself if it's too bad. If you're playing a ballad and you're in a place that's super painful, it's like, you know what I mean? It can be really, really, really bad. So, yeah, cool, guys. I mean, I really appreciate everybody coming here. Any other questions before I jump off? But we got a lot of people still hanging out here, but I really, really appreciate it. If you put your pinky on the root in the major pentatonic scale, yes, you can just go down to 3 frets. You got the old 3-fret trick. That works great. All right, so once again, I really appreciate everyone coming here and hanging out with me. It's fun for me because hopefully it's fun for you guys to get out of the daily grind of what being locked up. So trying to make something productive out of it. So thanks everyone. I appreciate you stopping in. Once again, if you want to hit the tip jar, much appreciated. Flipping it back into all of this stuff. Thank you. Saturday morning, 11 a.m., David Grissom is going to be here. The following Saturday, Mark Lettieri. Following Saturday after that is going to be Joey Landreth, and after that is Scott Gerard, and a whole bunch of other people. And every Wednesday at 4 p.m., I'm going to be here doing a live stuff. So thanks so much, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. I got to turn this off. How do I turn this? Bye.